Welcome to the Voices of Global Speakers, the podcast for professional speaker associations and their leaders around the world. We are partnering with Global Speaking Fellows to help professional speaker associations give their members global perspective, knowledge, and opportunities for cultural exchange as we lead up to the Professional Speakers Celebration Day on March the 14th. I'm Neerja Singh, the Professional Speakers Association of India, representative to the Global Speakers Federation Board. And today I'm thrilled and honored to be interviewing Pamela S. Robinson, Global Speaking Fellow and CSP. Welcome,
Oh,
Pamela.
thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Pamela Robinson is a multi-talented global speaking fellow and certified speaking professional working across 5 continents. And for the past few decades, she has spanned the globe training management, tradecraft, and financial management curricula to help diplomatic missions, international development professionals, and locally employed staff navigate principles and proper use of public funding. She holds an MBA in International Business and Finance. And for social impact, Pamela is a PhD candidate in designing sustainable systems at Case Western Reserve University. Her research pushes the limits of scientific methods to amplify the agricultural, local ecological knowledge and skills in rural developing countries to advance regenerative principles and well being for humans. Her research has won awards at Innovation Week, the Outstanding PhD Research Award, the People's Choice Award, and in creating a thesis based play where she gained placement in the Juilliard extension drama, Writing for Performance, a play writing workshop. Pamela is a member of the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers and the National Speakers Association. And Pamela, you're usually found in an embassy or a consulate, working in the rural countryside or at a theater. And you live in Atlanta, Georgia, and you are managing your company that specializes in global development and diplomacy, such a crucial and relevant field, Pamela.
Yes, it is.
So, shall we begin with you sharing with us where did this happen to you?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, first of all, for the invitation to be here um, and speaking to the broader audience of those that are um, emergent speakers or those that are already established. And I think as a global speaking fellow, what's important is that we have something to say, that we have a voice. So the center to all of this is our voice. And for me, I can just share my experience is that whatever we're projecting or providing to our audiences, it's a bridge to help mend some of the gaps that we have, around the world, right? And I don't know. It's just an honorable profession and it is a craft. That's the key thing we want to make sure. It is a craft that takes decades to master. So,
Why do you call it an honor? Why is it an honor?
it is an honor. It's an honor. It's a privilege because when you stand on a podium or if you're doing virtual or however we communicate to our audiences, that is an area of respect and it is an area that you have to earn. You don't get on a stage, you don't get in front of a camera unless you have something meaningful to say and unless it's to help someone else improve their life, improve the way that they're performing at work, helping to reduce cost, all the things that are happening. What is the knowledge that we're bringing to these groups? And so I will tell you this is that even before you turn on the camera, even before we step on a stage or in a training room, The work happens before that. So that's by the time you step there in front of the audience, you are fully prepared and you are engaged. And so you're on at that point. You are
That's
on. So I do look at it as a stage, whether I'm in person or whether I'm here in my studio. I no longer even have an office. This is a performance. This is where that action and interaction takes place. And the prep work has already been done. Now let's get to it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Pamela, did you set out to become a global speaking fellow? Was it ever a plan in your mind, or is it something that happened along the way as you were doing your job as best as you could?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I set out. I don't even know if I knew that was a profession,
Mhm.
but it was something that was innate in me to, it's an avenue, it's a pathway, but to communicate. And so I know that when I was in the work environment, um, providing presentations, and it was very natural, right? Of connecting with people. And so providing presentations, doing events of things to communicate because it's financial management. So you're communicating
Yes.
very technical skills that are
Mm.
essential for decision making. And so you have to communicate that in a way where everyone understands, no matter what field they're from. And and then of course the dynamics of different countries and regions and the nuances that come with that. And so no, I didn't think but it of a global speaking fellow at the time, but it naturally progressed into that. And when I got into that, I knew now that speaking was an actual profession. It started first with that CSP of
Mm.
saying, okay, what's the criteria of becoming a professional speaker, and then just having that as an aim and a goal.
Many of us in this profession have been speaking before they became members of the professional speaker associations that come under the Global Speakers Federation. So, why would you recommend, or would you recommend a speaker who is already on the stage to join one of these associations?
Oh my gosh. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is speaking is a very isolated profession.
Mm.
You're going to need a team around you to support you of getting through some of the business questions that you have in the profession. And just as support, you want that to strengthen you. And it also saves you time because you might have someone that's more experienced in different areas that says, hey, I went through that too. Let me show you what I did, or here's some resources. So with any profession, if you really want to master that craft, get around those that are doing it and that are really involved, and you will learn a lot. You'll give a lot, and you'll also receive a lot too. And there's no other place than your either regional or local chapters. And the other thing too is being part of a global speaking federation, like you're the each of the associations. You can join another one, right? So we have what, 17, and it's growing. You can join another one. That's another way to get into from a global perspective. Mhm.
So, I do believe that with given your work experience and your body of work, you would have had some really, really unique insights on where is, let's say,
Yes.
okay, in that context, where is speaking headed, if you want to be more specific.
Yes, absolutely. I think I love this question because um, flexibility, adaptability is important as a global speaking fellow. And so, whether I am in a policy meeting or giving a policy brief and from a United Nations standpoint, or in a development type environment, or whether I'm in a rural area, working with farmers and working with their communities,
Mm.
um, it's still issues that are taking place, whether it's at a higher level or if it's at a local level. And I think the communication is listen more than you talk, first of all, is listen, take in, be present, and understand, listen to another person's point of view. Try and understand where are they coming from, because you've got to get to some common ground so that you can move forward, so that you're not on one side or the other side, but really trying to collaborate, because these are huge problems that we're dealing with.
Does this designation, Global Speaking Fellow, does it make a difference in any of these areas where you speak? Does it create an impression, or how does it how is it received?
Yeah, I think I can't say like I can't designate and say, okay, this percentage adds this much to the bottom line. You know what I mean? Or what that
Yeah.
contribution is. But I can say that it's a very natural element into my whole portfolio. And
Hmm.
so I never get questioned about it because you demonstrate it, right? And so when you see Global Speaking Fellow and you see the work that's being done, you'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
You are also listening to a lot of speakers in your work. What's your impression of how they are doing culturally, and how could they be doing better? I'm talking about cultural sensitivities and
Oh,
just the
yes.
diversity, just the diversity.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, and we hear that a lot, but what does it mean, right? What does
Yes.
it mean? Getting beyond what society says that it is. I think at the end of the day, these are human issues, right? No matter what you're
Mhm.
doing, we're really trying to improve well being for generations. And so mutual respect, of course, and really get to know the person. What's been your experience? That's the joy of all of this, is the relationships that we build. No matter, it's one planet. We're only on one planet so far, and we
Yes.
are sharing things instead of all the divides. And be yourself. We want you. We want your point of view. Be your natural self, and the rest of that, the fear and the things that we naturally have because we're human, that starts to go away, and you just have wonderful conversations, and you start thinking differently, and that's what you want. You want to broaden your way of knowing,
Hmm.
and so by doing that is you have to associate with folks around you and outside of your comfort zone and outside of your career field, because we're all really just trying to make the world a little bit better.
I love what you said. Really connect with the person, and that makes all the difference. The rest comes easy.
Hmm.
Pamela, when you go prepare to go on stage, do you have some favorite drills or exercises? How do you prepare yourself? Some of us spend so much time on research and we talk about it. Yes, some of us don't practice enough. So we all have our blind spots and we all have our
Yes.
regular, like I said, our drills. So is there anything that you'd like to share with people who are listening to us?
Yes, I will share with you some things that I shared at the CAPS convention this past year. Some of the things that I think will help is, again, just get to your authentic self, because it doesn't matter how much you know. If you can't relate to the audience and they're not feeling that you're, you know what I mean, really concerned about them and really want to help them, what is the point of all the research that you
Mm.
did? That's the
Wow.
mind stuff, right? How are you connecting with the being? And
Mm.
so there's a couple of things that I do that might help y'all too.
Mm.
And so one of them is, expand your idea of what speaking is, because it really has to do with the voice. So voice care is important. It's taking care of your instrument. And in doing that, as a speaker, it's not just on stage. Like, most of what I'm doing is training, right? But also, it's, if you really want to master this craft of professional speaking, that means master the craft. And what other genres contribute to that? Well, one
Mm.
is comedy. If you want stage presence, oh, get comedy is the hardest genre ever to write it and
Yes.
perform it. Get into comedy, improv. That will help you adapt also to different situations on stage, because you will face situations that you maybe not have been prepared for. So that's going to be one too. Voiceover, audio books, all of these things are using your instrument, and it will also acting. So if you can add that to your skill set, even if it's just to learn about it, right?
Mm.
That will definitely elevate your speaking, and it could also increase additional revenue streams for you as well. And you might discover that, wow, I didn't really know that I would love this. So those are things that come on. And I'll give you one little tip too is everything happens before you reach that stage. Like I said, whether it's on camera.
Yes.
So when you
Yes.
are, let's say if you have a stage, right? And you have the audience and someone is, let's say you're introducing me. When I'm
Mm.
coming up, I'm not looking at you because we've already talked beforehand. Before I even touch the stage, I'm connecting with I'm looking at the audience. And I'm
Yeah.
and that creates that warmth, right? So
Mm.
by the time I get on the stage and shake your hand and turn back to we're already connected. And so then we can have that conversation, right? And that's what you do. It's dialogue. It's
Lovely.
dialogue, but it's again,
Lovely.
you're providing expertise and sharing information so that people are like, you know what I mean? They're with you in what you're presenting, right? Or like I said, in a training environment, it's going to be a little bit different. And you always want to ask questions. It's that call and response, right? That happens back and forth. So don't put yourself as, oh, I have to be the person that is the smartest one in the room because you're not.
Or not.
You may be good in your lane, but you are not. Everybody is bringing something to the table. And so it is a tapestry of knowledge that happens. And so you want to bring all of that together
Mm.
so that everybody benefits. And you'll learn too of and then how to improve. So the next time, always up your game. Every
Mm.
time you present, don't use the same thing that you did. Like, how do I want to get better? Even if it's 1%. Imagine every time you presented, you increased 1%. Well, how do you think you're going to present by the end of the year? You're going to be a rock star, amazing and more relatable. So it's those softer, I don't want to say softer skills, but essential skills that really make the difference that people connect with you.
I love that. It's a dialogue. I love that.
Mhm.
It's a dialogue.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's a dialogue. Pamela, they also say that every speaker emerging, established, sooner or later bombs at least once in their speaking career. Did did that happen to you ever?
Yes.
It
And I will
did.
tell you, I'll give you an example of when it happened because it just happened for the first time.
Okay.
One of the things, laugh it off. You're human, right?
Yeah.
There is no way you're going to get into this 5, 10, 20, 30 years and everything is perfect. That doesn't even make sense.
Hmm.
So I will tell you, a couple of years ago, this was right after we had ended like lockdowns and everything of going into of the pandemic.
Hmm.
So I had been in the house and everything was virtual. I had not been in front of a live audience for a long time because we were going into like 3 years. And so I went to Cleveland to speak in front of this huge audience. And I was going up to my university and I hadn't been on campus the whole time. So that was all new to me. And so
Hmm.
it was kind of a shock. And then when I got on stage, it was a 3-minute thesis that I had to do. Now, I had prepared this in my home, but what I didn't take into consideration is I hadn't been with live people.
Hmm.
So when I got up there, I had one static slide, and it was in I think it was Philippines. It was in the countryside of Philippines. And when I saw it, I physically and mentally went back to that place. And I was
Yeah.
there. I wasn't even in the room. I didn't even know what was going on in the room. And my whole being was there.
Wow.
And when I turned around to give the presentation, I went into shock because I didn't realize I was there, but then in the room, the cameras are showing there's a huge red clock in front of me at the bottom of the
Hmm.
stage.
Hmm.
I I gave my first statement and completely froze. I never had stage fright before until then. I completely didn't know what I was saying. It was 3 minutes. I think already 2 minutes had passed. Just, so you know what? I just laughed it off. I'm just like, well, you know what? I thought to myself, I'm not leaving this stage until I finish. And so it was
Yes.
just like, okay, clearly I didn't win, but I'm going to give you this because it's important for you to know. And then once I could calm myself, and then I continued on. But to see everybody staring at you, and I'm thinking,
Mm.
oh my gosh, I haven't been on campus, so the different environment. I would never do that again. Always rehearse in front of a live audience
Okay.
because you don't want to go in cold. And
Mm.
I always get somewhere early. If I'm traveling, depending on the country, because something could go wrong with travel, get there early and get embrace the environment. Talk to
Mm.
everybody from the front desk clerk to the folks that are doing catering to just folks that are outside. Learn, become a local, become part of that environment. And then you'll start getting a lot more comfortable. So that's one example where I can tell you
Yeah.
that I completely bombed. And if you do comedy, you are going to bomb at some point.
It's comedy. Okay. About the global speaking fellows, is there uh, do they work together? Is there a group or is there a legacy that they look forward to leaving behind, or is it a special club? What is it?
So keep in mind that let's talk first about the Global Speaking Federation. That is
Mm.
the umbrella over all the associations. So as an individual speaker, we are not a member of the Global Speaking Federation. We're a
Yes.
member of our association. And
Right.
so there are, to date, there are 40 global speaking fellows
Yeah.
that have gone through the process and the criteria. And as a profession, same thing if you were an accountant, right? And you're going to put out, that you are a professional. Well, you want a body that can solidify that, yes, you do meet the criteria, you have ethics, and you know what I mean, what
Mm.
has been stated. So you become an equivalent to, in the West, we would call it a certified public accountant or whatever it is in each country. And the same thing with anything else as an attorney or anything along those lines. So in our profession, um, before you can become a global speaking fellow, you have to first be designated as an equivalent or a certified speaking fellow. I
Mm.
mean, certified speaking professional, right? Or equivalent to where whatever that is, right? So that's
Right.
step one, right? And then moving in, there's criteria you can find on the website, but you have to
Yes.
speak in at least, I think it's three. It's been a while. I think it's three of the seven continents with at least two countries, and you
Right.
always want to do more than that, of course.
Yes.
That the United Nations designates. Two continents. I'm sorry, two continents.
Yeah.
So three continents, at least two countries. But you guys double check me on that because it's been a while since
Yes.
I
Yes.
the applicant. Thank you so much. But yeah, so there's not something that we get together with. Um,
Mm.
um, One of the things, tips that all of those of us that are global speaking fellows, Jonathan Lowe is putting together, he's updating a book or a document
Okay.
that where
Okay.
we're providing our tips and lessons learned and so forth. So that should be coming out soon. So that's one thing from a joint effort. So kudos to Jonathan for doing that, who is amazing. But yeah,
Absolutely.
reach out if you want to talk to any of us. Go to the site and you'll see our
Mhm.
contact information. If you have
Mm.
questions, that's another benefit, right? Of
Absolutely.
anytime you want something, you have those of us that are global can speak to you. There's folks that are speaking at a global level, but they're just not a fellow yet. And we come on over.
Yes. Yes.
And so
Come on over.
anybody, even if
Hop
here's the
on.
thing though. Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. Even if you're traveling, right? Even if you're on holiday or if you're
Mm.
going to like a business conference or something like that, go on to like e-speakers or the local chapter that you
Yes.
have
Yes.
and let people know I'm going to be in your country, right? and people will meet with you. Just have a
Absolutely.
coffee or a tea or something like this, and this is how you can get more into that local environment. So like you can't just read something and think you know an environment. Nah, you got to sit down, break bread. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm always in someone's house. It's like, okay, I want to see the mother, the father, the grandmother. I'm going to be holding somebody's baby. What's going on this week? Yeah, I just become a local.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So that
Ah,
from a standpoint of us getting together, it's not a formal thing that happens, but though that's one of the ways is that you'll see.
yeah. Right. My final question now. And Pamela, you can see my dog on my screen. I just spotted her. She's right there in the corner. A beagle
Oh,
near the lamp. She's fast asleep. And so, Pamela, my final question is what is the significance of celebrating 14th of March as a professional speaker celebration day? It's the second time we are doing this, the second year.
yes.
And what is a little bit about that from you? How do you see it?
Oh, I'm so excited. This is the second year, and I'm so excited. And this is our introduction. This is one, first of all, is to celebrate because, like, most people are afraid to get up and speak in front of people. So we're
Yeah.
doing something that is a fear of many of our, you know what I mean, the 8 billion,
Mm,
9 billion people that are on the planet would even consider doing.
mm,
So to have that and the work that we put in order to bring information is also celebrated. And the fact that this is now a recognized profession is also critical. So having that, and I love it because you'll see speakers from all over the world, you know what I
mm.
mean, provide their celebratory response to this.
Yes.
And that creates this sense of oneness, which I
Yes.
love.
Yes.
It creates this sense of oneness and it gets the message out. And it's also celebrating because we know each other, you know what I mean, or getting to know each other. So this is somebody you've spoken
Absolutely.
to, or you're like, hey, I'm so glad I saw you. And you know what I mean? And say, hey, I want to connect. And that's when a general conversation happens. And who knows what happens from there? If things happen organically. So I think the more that we do this, the more that we celebrate it, then it becomes more exposure for the rest of the world
Mhm.
because you need to see something modeled, right?
Yes.
In order to get an idea to say, oh, I didn't even know that was a profession. And then
Mm.
that ignites something like in someone that it is something that they might want to do but never
Want to
considered
do.
it because maybe they didn't know.
Mhm.
So it gives that boost, right? It gives that boost. And it might be a child or somebody in school, or it may be someone that's starting another career. It could be
Yes.
anything along those lines. So anything that's going to help
Yes.
us to say,
Mhm.
okay, why don't you try this so that we're all moving towards or in the midst of living our best life. I mean, that's really what we want to do. And so if this is what's going to be the thing,
Celebrate each
hey,
other and
you don't
and
know who
celebrate.
celebrate. Yep. Yeah, celebrate each other, and you don't know who you're going to impact. You don't.
Absolutely.
All you can
Yes.
do is
Yes.
plant the seed. Just
Yes.
plant the seed, good intentions, be intentional, and then that's it. You have no idea who you're going to impact and for how long.
That's a lovely, lovely, lovely note to end on, Pamela. Plant the seed, and have the right intentions. That's beautiful. Thank you very much, Pamela. And let's wish everybody there a very happy professional speakers celebration day on the 14th of March, 2024. Thank you so much, Pamela S. Robinson.
Absolutely. You
Thank
did a
you.
wonderful job with this, and thank you so much for having me. And we will
Thank you.
definitely celebrate. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, ciao, ciao.